Greetings, YouTube. It's been a while. You know how it is with YouTube videos. Sometimes life gets in the way, so you got highs and lows in terms of activity. Let's talk about some current events and how they may or may not affect us. This summer is going to be a long summer. We've got a lot going on. We've got the Eric Holder scandal. You can pick one. Just in case somebody's been sleeping under a rock. The basics of what's going on with him are fucking mosquito in the truck. Ooh, noise on my window. If you're a fan of this channel, you're probably already not a fan of Eric Holder's. If you're not a fan of this channel and you're a liberal, you're probably thinking that myself and others aren't fans of him because he's black, which is why we don't like the president. It's complete liberal bullshit, but that's the, you can look at my other videos and see what I have to say about political correctness and how our whole society has been engineered to divide, so that if you're a person of color, pink is a color, by the way. If you're a person of color, you're conditioned and instructed to immediately launch allegations of racism if somebody doesn't like somebody who is a person of color. In this case, the president. We don't like Obama, so we're racist. But if you didn't like Bush, it wasn't because you're a racist, it's just that you didn't agree with his policies. The liberal double standard. Now, if you got plenty of white people, I mean, there are plenty of white people that love Obama, and they throw out the race bomb too. And I'm kind of digressing, but anyways, I do that. Those are apologists. Those are liberal white apologists who are sorry that they're white. They're sorry that they're not in poverty. They're sorry that they have, they feel guilty. It's the white guilt that's been pushed upon them by society by way of college professors. You got what's her name over there at Cambridge, I think it is, who did 21 or 22 years for murdering a couple of cops, and she gets out and she gets a prestigious position as a college professor. These are all anti-establishment people who are poisoning the minds of our youth, and our youth now, a lot of them have grown up and they're my age. And if they're not self-thinkers, if they rely on the media and college professors to do their thinking for them, you end up with people who throw out allegations of racism very easily. So I'm going to be dealing with 3 different people, and they all happen to be black, so it's very expected that somebody here will say I'm a racist, not knowing anything about me, other than what I'm going to tell you. Okay, so who are the 3 people I want to talk about? Well, clearly Obama will come up. Holder has already come up. And Trayvon Martin. Now, out of those 3, Obama's only 50% black, but in the world of political correctness and using race as a weapon to silence people, we must completely forget about Obama's white heritage, because that doesn't matter. If we acknowledge that he's half white, then that takes away a certain amount of ability to blame everything on racism, right? Because if we're racist, we only dislike half of him. Stupid. So, Trayvon Martin, what does that have to do with it? Well, the Trayvon Martin trial is coming up here in about 2 weeks. It was extended because they went through a lot of the evidence that the defense wanted to present, and the judge pretty much ruled against, I think, all of it. The fact that he was, smoking weed, I think they're going to allow the fact that the toxicology reports show that he had weed, marijuana in his system. But, there's videos of him, talking about marijuana, using marijuana. That can't be used. Pictures of him with guns, trying to sell guns. His history, his criminal history, his social history in terms of being violent. None of that is going to be allowed. So what does that have to do with all this stuff, Mike? Well, yeah, so what does Trayvon Martin have to do with it? Well, like the beginning of my channel here, I mean, it's evolved in many ways. I mean, it used to be a gun channel, a firearms channel kind of thing, because I'm a firearms instructor and a hobbyist, a tactical type channel, and then it got into a sort of a prepping channel, and I was talking about prepping, and there's a little bit of product introduction and evaluation. And then it got into politics because, let's face it, man, if our country falls apart, none of the other shit matters. You know, except maybe the shit hit the fan stuff. So, now those that don't know who I am, I mean, you know, I'm retired LAPD. I was there during the riots in '92. The reason I say that is I am fully aware from personal experience how quickly a society can melt down during a hot summer when there's racial tensions. And, you know, when this trial, I would not want to be Zimmerman, because I personally just don't see how he is going to be found anything but guilty. And I think that he'll be sold out. My prediction is he'll be found guilty, because if they find him innocent, Rome will burn. Because that's what our society has devolved into. We've been manipulated into thinking that it's perfectly acceptable and understandable to go out and burn down stores and smash windows if we get a verdict that we don't like. So the jury system doesn't work unless it works in favor of the most violent and lawless aspects of society, which is total collapse already, as far as I see it. You know, we either get the verdict that we want, or we'll burn your fucking city down. Beautiful. So, that being said, you got Trayvon Martin trial coming up. Let's just assume for a second that he's found innocent. Now, I don't want to sound like I'm totally paranoid, and I've been accused of that I'm a conspiracy guy. I'm not really a conspiracy theorist at all. But I have become much more open to that type of shit as I've seen that the government that I worked for all these years, and that I fought to defend and argued for, has been corrupted by Chicago-type politics. No offense to anybody in Chicago, but let's face it, man. You know, that city has been run through crooked politicians, and now those crooked motherfuckers are in charge. And so you got, I lost track. You've got Eric Holder. I was starting to say, if you've been living under a rock, let me break it down for you. He lied and denied about the Fast and Furious. He didn't have nothing to do with it. He didn't know jack shit about it, blah, 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 blah. It was all Bush's fault. He wanted to have criminal trials for the terrorists, 9/11 terrorists, right, you know, yards away from Ground Zero. The latest scandal is, you know, that he signed authorization to collect electronic information on a Fox News reporter and his parents, you know, emails, you name it. I think phone calls and such. In total violation of First Amendment, and also just in this whole freedom of the press. You know, for those that don't know the law, it's illegal, of course, for people to release classified information, but it is not illegal for a reporter to ask for that information. If I'm working for the New York Times and I say, hey, dude, you know, give me the inside story of what's going on in the Pentagon, and you're stupid enough to give it to me, if that all becomes knowledge, public knowledge, you get in trouble, not me, because I'm the eyes and ears of the people. You know, it's not incumbent upon me to not report classified information. It may not be the best thing to do, but there's not a law against that. So, we all know that President Obama, this is all going to tie up here, we all know that President Obama can't stand Fox. We all know that the liberals can't stand Fox. Eric Holder can't stand Fox. So what do? They target Fox. Then you've got the IRS thing. You've got the IRS, the most strongest and, you know, an invasive government arm working for Obama, because they're targeting anybody that, you know, that has the name, any organization that filed for tax exempt status that had the name, words in their name of, you know, tyrant, tyranny, liberty, God, what was the other ones? I can't think right now. But, you know, Tea Party, whatever. So selective enforcement makes the IRS now an army for Obama that's out to, you know, this was during his second election, which was out to target any group that might have been trying to form to give information counter to Obama's claims. So this is as corrupt as it gets. This is like, you know, height of the Cold War Soviet Union bullshit, where you've got Gestapo tactics where they try to shut down the press. You've got anybody that's against the regime being targeted by an enforcement branch, in this case the IRS. This is pretty serious. It doesn't get any more serious than this. I mean, the IRS scandal, thank God, has even got the attention of the liberals, because they're smart enough to understand, the liberals in Congress, that if we approve this shit, today it may be our party, but tomorrow it may be a George Bush going after your party. So you got to nip this shit in the bud. And President Nixon, you know, he resigned in lieu of impeachment during impeachment proceedings for something far less. He had a tape recorder put in a hotel listening to the opposing campaign. So what I'm saying is, be aware of this trial. If I was Obama and I was crooked and fucked up like him and Holder, I would be thinking of a way to get the spotlight off of Benghazi, off of the IRS scandal, which, you know, it all goes back to Obama. All the Eric Holder bullshit, which he's going to be let go or he'll resign because he's in too deep. But if I was them and I wanted a way to take the spotlight off, I would say, fuck it, I would somehow make it to where Trayvon Martin, or Zimmerman was found innocent, because then this is like a false flag, sort of. If you can convince them to find him innocent somehow, that'll start civil unrest. Civil unrest will take the spotlight off of the Obama administration. It'll also give them a chance to come down with their, you know, Gestapo-like tactics to rein in people. Maybe if they're lucky, some crazy fucking gun nut white guy will do something terrible. You know, this is what they want. This is what they like. That's Buddy, the little dog in the backseat. You know, if the IRS could target people because of a certain name in their organization, you know, think about that. I've got the website, www.riseagainsttyranny.com. That's my website. That means I'm on a list, which, you know, I'm probably on a list right now because of these fucking YouTube videos, because I oppose Obama. And if that's the case, can you imagine that? Think of that. Think about how we've all thought we lived in a free country, how I've worn uniforms my whole life since I was 18 to protect and defend this country and the Constitution and the right for liberals to be liberals and so forth. Yet, if I am on a list because I have a website that talks about standing up for and voicing your opposition to tyranny, man, fuck, that put me on a goddamn list. You know, if I disappear someday, who knows? Maybe I got assassinated by these fucking idiots. I don't put anything past them anymore. I really don't. But I'm not willing to shut my mouth over. Listen, if I was afraid of death, I wouldn't have been a fucking cop for all those years and have jumped out of airplanes in the Army and you know, all that shit. There's just no way I wouldn't have worked for the federal government. Yeah, so death, like I said, I don't have a death wish, but you got to threaten me with something a lot more than just fucking death. At this point in my life, death to me is just a good way to catch up on my sleep. So be alert for the Trayvon Martin thing to go sideways, either naturally, because let's just say that a jury finds Zimmerman innocent, completely innocent. I guarantee you, Florida will be ravaged with riots, and that shit could spill into other cities. These people know how to fucking, when I say these people, there are people like militant black groups and you know, these, what's the guy's name? The fucking, oh God, what's his name? You know, the Black Panthers and all these organizations that are looking for excuses to start shit will jump on that as an excuse to do it and to further divide the races. And then that's when your prepping shit's going to come in, because you don't want to be in the cities, man, when that shit breaks loose. You just don't. If it gets bad enough, it'll give the government an opportunity to throw out a little martial law action, maybe do some gun confiscations. I don't put anything past these people. Nothing. You know, like I've said 100 times, 5 years ago, I wouldn't have even talked to somebody who thinks the way I think right now. And the reason I think this way is not because somebody on Fox told me to think this way. It's because I'm fucking smart enough to evaluate and accept reality. The reality is you got a president who fucking says, I don't know jack shit about nothing. He's the fucking boss, man. What are you talking about? Everybody jumped on Bush and expected him to know shit. You know, the intel came out about the weapons of mass destruction, and they put it out, and everybody jumped on fucking, what's his name? Colin Powell. Yet, Obama, everybody's perfectly okay to say, hey, fuck it, man, he didn't know. Holder gets caught lying every time he opens his fucking mouth. Hey, he didn't know. Hillary Clinton is completely off the fucking radar. She's off the radar. Why is that? Because she is going to try to become the next president. And so she is literally hiding. Yet there are people that fucking died in Benghazi because of her. That's just the way it is. I wish it wasn't that way, but that's the way it is. She has a major role to play in that. She had lied. She perpetuated that fucking lie about the videotape, which we all know was bullshit. You know, I made a joke the other day because they got Biden fucking, you know, hogtied in the basement, man. They're afraid he's going to say something stupid. I made that joke at the dinner table. The next day, Biden comes out and makes a joke about about Obama being the fucking teleprompter president, that he's taking lessons to learn to speak without it, and Biden is learning to use it. You know, these are fucking buffoons that are running this country, and they're running it into the fucking ground. We have got to stand up for what we believe in, man. If you agree with anything I'm saying, or I've said in all my other videos, and you haven't written to one of your representatives, then shame the fuck on you. You, at the very minimum, you've got to stand the fuck up, put your name on a fucking pre-made letter. There's already form letters that are out that are designed to, I'm waving at my neighbor, that are designed to let your representatives know that you're not going to fucking tolerate moves against the Second Amendment, violations of our Second Amendment rights. You know, one motherfucker runs in and kills a bunch of people, and they want to fucking punish people that are law-abiding citizens, and you're going to sit. Yet you look at John Stossel does these things. I think it's him, that he goes out in public or he goes onto college campuses and he's like, "Hey, what did you think about China or the U.S.?" I think one of them was Obama authorized a nuclear bomb attack on some Chinese city, and these dumb motherfuckers that are, you know, getting hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of education. Well, I think it was the right thing to do. They don't know about it, so they're afraid to admit it. Or you ask who's the vice president of the United States, fucking 9 out of 10 don't know. You ask about the Benghazi situation. Do you know what's going on in Benghazi? Fucking 9 out of 10 have no clue what the hell's going on. They ask about the IRS scandal. They don't know jack shit about it. And that is exactly as I've said, the same way that the Spanish conquistadors, or however you fucking say it, that's how they decimated the fucking Indians and the fucking, you know, the Aztecs and shit when they you know, I think it was Cortez came over and you know, dumped a bunch of fucking bullshit trinkets on them, shiny sparkly beads, and the Indians were, oh yeah, these are great. And next thing you know, they're all wiped out with fucking smallpox infested blankets, and their whole culture was decimated because they were too busy fucking around with their shiny beads and their metal fucking shit. That's what the iPhone's doing. That's what the iPad's doing. That's what Call of Duty's doing. That's what, you know, your fucking $300 pair of fucking stupid ass tennis shoes are keeping you from knowing what's going on around you. And it's the old case of smile now, cry later, because sooner or later your ignorance, your willingness to allow other people to think for you is going to come back to haunt you. Goddamn mosquitoes. Trust me on that. Whether it's you or your kids, you are not going to live in the same country that I lived in. If you're younger than me, and I'm 50, you're not going to fucking know the actual free America, what it's like, because it's already gotten fucked over with this Obamacare that every semi-intelligent fucking idiot on a short bus knows is unlawful. Oh, but the fucking Supreme Court judge was a fucking asshole. Was a pro-Obama, trying to be a nice guy, and he broke the fucking law. Obamacare is illegal. And if you don't know it, you're an idiot, okay? To force anybody into any kind of commerce that I must buy this, and, you know, oh, well, you got to buy car insurance. Yeah, but you don't have to drive. But we do have to live, okay? So, you know, I'm not going to get into that. If you don't know about that now, you need to educate yourself. If you don't know about anything I've mentioned, then you need to fucking unplug your stupid ass game and get your fucking ass on the internet. Listen to the BBC, listen to Russian news, listen to fucking Fox News, listen to CNN. I listen to all of them, and then do something that is really fucking painful. Think for yourself and make your own goddamn decisions, because when the shit hits the fan, and it very well may hit the fan this summer, based on the things I've talked about, you are going to fucking you don't want to be running around like an idiot wondering why you're getting fucking hacked to death in the streets by a group of people who hate your guts because you happen to be white or you happen to be black. You know, at least have the common fucking sense to be curious about why you're being slaughtered or why the fucking government's throwing flashbangs in your door and arresting you because you made a YouTube video that Obama didn't like. What kind of fucking country is this, man? You know, I don't... Fuck that. See, the difference between me and motherfuckers with their heads up their ass is I don't want to live in their kind of country. Well, get the fuck out. I ain't going nowhere. Nowhere. But I'll tell you what, I don't want to fucking live in a place where I've got to see a criminal in charge and not say anything. I might as well go move to fucking Baghdad or fucking Cuba. You know, if I wanted to live like that. I don't want to live like that. And shame on anybody that does. You know, forget about having a good fucking summer and enjoying your fucking convertible and your barbecues and shit. Get your fucking ass educated into what's going on around your... But look, I'm half a century year old. I'm not going to live that much longer anyways, but if you're in your 20s or your 30s and you're ignorant, and when I say you're ignorant is not stupid. Stupid is not capable of learning. Ignorant is choosing not to fucking learn. Alright? I'm ignorant when it comes to brain surgery because I have no desire to fucking know about it. Alright? That doesn't make me stupid. You wouldn't want me operating on your fucking tumor. So if you are ignorant, admit you're ignorant to yourself and educate yourself, because all of this shit is going to come home to roost. And when it does, you're going to either be enforcing or enacting the plans that you were smart enough to make and the preparations that you put into place, or at least if I get fucking hauled out of my house and put in a concentration camp or shot and left in a ditch, I'm going to tell you something. At least my last thoughts will be, I stood up for what was right. I wrote letters to my fucking congressmen. I wrote letters to senators. You know, I sent fucking messages. I've left voicemails. I've worked on behalf of this government. I served my country in the military. All I want is what everybody should want, which is complete 100% adherence to the Constitution of the United States, because that's what this country's all about, man. Anyways, let me have your thoughts. And I hope everybody had a good Memorial Day. I hope everybody took a moment to think about what that was all about. And thank you to those who have served, are serving, are going to serve. And remember your oath. The oaths don't expire. Okay? If you don't know what Oath Keepers is, go check that out. I'm sure everybody that's a member of Oath Keepers is on the list too. But you know what? Sometimes it's cool to be on a list. Fuck them. You know, it's like if I was on a list that Hitler, like an enemy to Hitler, I'd be proud to be on that list. It may cost me my life in fucking, 1940s Germany, but some things are worth dying for, bitches. Love you.